Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Ji ayanu pakhaira galen ihama chuneshume washmale Ohio gonzaimas guten morgen and hi hugs and hellos to everybody who's tuned into PT World and watching World this morning alongside Shazad Khan. Everybody who's tuned into PTV Global, thank you very much for tuning into World this morning. Lovely to have you as our viewers. Thank you very much for your feedback. All the time, all those people who go onto our pages, like our whatever shows we are doing, I think I'm grateful to those. And then it's Monday again. Thank you very much to Allah, first of all, that for giving us another day to live and make a difference. But then at the same time, there are people who do not like Mondays really just because of the fact that they don't like their jobs or either they don't like working at all. But ladies and gentlemen, today is a very important show. And today what we have picked up is something very important for all those parents who are out there, for all those teachers, for all those schools which are out there as well. Because on 19th of October 2016, an article was published by a local channel which was written by Dr. Maria Sultan, who's the Director General of South Asian Strategic Stability Institute. And I have to read this out to you because if you're not aware of this article, I think that, once I'll be done reading this article, you'll probably jump out of your couch or probably wherever you are sitting because it's very alarming. I was amazed. In fact, I do not have words to explain this feeling that, when I read this article first, I was like, literally, if that's going on within the federal city, which we call Islamabad, I think we need to step up against it, we need to stand up against it, and we need to do something about it. Okay, so in this article, the title of the article is Alarming Rate of Drug Use Among Private School Students in Islamabad. And now what they say is, up to 53% students of large private schools in Islamabad are addicted to drugs. A shocking report presented before Senate Standing Committee on Interior and Narcotics Control revealed on Wednesday, prompting summons to all officials concerned. Now, the report says, the report prepared by a non-government organization stated that 44 to 53% students of large private schools in the federal capital are addicted to various kinds of drugs. The addicts are either provided intoxicants by their fellows or teachers. Oh my God. Now we really need to check whether, there's any authenticity in it or not. And for that particular reason, we'll have Dr. Maria on phone as well. And then it added to the astonishment of committee members. Dr. Maria Sultan, Director General of South Asian Strategic Stability Institute, attended the meeting as special invitee. The average age of students in the private schools, in which nearly 44 to 53% of pupils are taking either artificial or hard drugs or were addicted to heroin, is in the age groups of 12 to 16 and 16 to 19. This is quite an alarming figure, and then this is quite an alarming situation as well. Later she says, they use drugs during study hours, while they also include some students as little as 8 years. It's at some schools, the intoxicants are available at canteens, while addicts also get them easily from street vendors. Now, I think what we need to see is that, all those people who are out there who are getting all of these drugs, it's so easier for them. I think that, it's that easier. For example, if I go to a shop and ask them for crisp and I tell them that I want a pack of chips, that's how they're getting it. And then, Mr. Rahman Malik, he said, I declare war on drugs and appeal to civil society, politicians and media to play their due role for welfare of those suffering from addiction and help save our coming generations, Senator Rahman Malik said while chairing the meeting. The schools, colleges and universities should take strict measures to have a check on drug-related activities on the campuses and should be made responsible to report to authorities. Malik tasked Senators Mukhtar Ahmed Dhamra and Chaudhry Tanveer to prepare proposals so as to further improve performance of Narcotics Division in consultation with federal and provincial authorities. Now, the article is quite long, but I think that, we are trying to get Dr. Maria Sultan on telephone with us. All right, she's with us. Hello, ma'am. Assalamu alaikum.
Hello.
Ma'am, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. I would request the MCR to please turn up the volume a bit so that we can hear her. All right, ma'am, so this article, what do you have to say about this article? How authentic is that?
I think it's quite authentic, considering the fact that we were the institution which had provided part of the report which was submitted to the Senate Committee on Narcotics and Interior. And the primary reason was the fact that we conducted a survey which lasted over 9 months, and it was based on triangulation of research where we carried out a survey around 44 schools, both public and private schools in Islamabad as a pilot case. And what we found out was that in the private schools, where the average drug user was between 44 to 53%, depending upon the age group, starting from 12 years on till almost 18 years. Whereas in government schools, the percentage was 1 to 2%. And we had recommended to the committee as well to take stern measures, as well as to help the next generation to deal with this menace.
That's great. But what type of channels did you use to research about all of these facts and figures?
We used triangulation of research. In that case, we did interviews of the children, and the sample size was collected on the basis of the different schools which are here, as well as age groups. There was greater sensitivity which was attached there. There were, in addition to interviews, we also did surveys. We also took a team of psychiatrists with us, 3 psychiatrists which were with us as part of this pilot project. And furthermore, it was not just done in one period or one time. It was done on a sustained period of almost 9 months. And this was part of a larger study which was done on national security, in terms of the fact that at this moment in from Afghanistan, we are receiving around $104 billion worth of drugs which is coming per year. And out of those $104 billion of drugs, around 40% passes through Pakistan, and out of 40%, now almost 25% is being consumed within the country. Earlier, we were just a corridor state. Now there is greater fear that we are also becoming a consumer state. And since certain sectors of our country are unregulated, so the most vulnerable group, unfortunately, is our student population, where other, intelligence agencies and other people are working on it in a very sustained fashion.
That is quite unfortunate as well. But since you mentioned that, it took you 9 long months, in fact, to finalize this report, but there has to be a bit of background to it as well, because it just cannot go up to 44 to 55% just like that. So did you do a bit of research on what was happening earlier, or probably did you think about it that, these alarming figures cannot just be there all this time? I think there was a background to it.
Yes, you're right. Because we did a comparative analysis of the 1980s, and then we did a comparative analysis of 2015 and 16 as well. There were different reports which were done by the Ministry of Narcotics Control, which of course indicated different facts. And the mere fact for us was this is not the primary focus of our study. Our primary focus of the study was in terms of how narco-financing was actually affecting terrorism. And this was part of the pilot. So for us, it was, of course, a revealing discovery, and henceforth, we presented this to the Senate committee because we think that the appropriate bodies need to act upon it, and the people who are in charge should take appropriate action. You'll be amazed to find out that at this moment, when we talk about Pakistan's anti-narcotics force, the total number of personnel is 2,100, whereas the total number of routes which are coming from Afghanistan to Pakistan is more than 292, just on Pakistan-Afghan border alone, which are the unregulated routes. The amount of drug trade which is coming is unprecedented. The average heroin price or street price in Pakistan ranges between 80 to 100 rupees, whereas the market price or the farm gate value of $1 billion is almost $204 billion in the international market. So there were lots of other indicators, lots of other factors, and that's one of the reasons that we presented this to the Senate committee, because we think they are appropriate bodies, they are people who have been working on this, and that it needs to be seen as a national emergency, and we all need to understand the fact that there is a problem and we need to address it. So the question is not to penalize anybody, and the aim was not that. The aim was to secure our future generations and to take some action now so that we can save them for tomorrow.
Very rightly said, because we're a country where, the youth comprises of 63 or 60%, and I think all those figures which you have shared are enough to destroy the entire youth of an entire nation. But then at the same time, 2 more things which I wanted to ask before I move on to where the report was presented to the Senate. That is that in this report, it's mentioned that, quite a lot of times the students can get all of these hard drugs from either their fellows, okay, that can be understood, but teachers and then the canteen vendors?
Yes. We looked at because we work with the children, because first of all, the basic issue was the trust factor. The second thing was we found out that the kids have got individual dealers, so they could get access, and in certain cases, the suppliers are children, almost peers, because they're either hooked on it or either they're providing it on a sustained fashion. Part of them were, expats, and part of them were, of course, from Pakistan. And also in certain cases, we also found the teachers actually providing drugs. There were like four kinds of drugs which we tested in the survey, or which was based on it. One of them was ecstasy, second was Xanax, third was heroin, and fourth was marijuana, or hash, what you call that. And what we found out was that it's not so simple, and sometimes the teachers are under pressure because the administration is not strong on it, or they want to look the other way because it's a taboo issue. So people had the approach we found was that they rather wanted that nobody should talk about it. So even if it is happening, we should just look the other way. So there is no seriousness. So everybody did not want to see. During this research, when we were carrying out this research, we almost had 3 fatalities, 3 kids who lost their lives. Somebody who died as an OD'd on ecstasy, some OD'd on some other pills. If you go to and part of this research also we used drug tests. So because we were not sure, because there were children groups of different categories, so we were not sure whether they're just saying it out of fear, they're saying it out of passion, or they're actually kids which have used. To be very honest, when we started this research, our maximum understanding was that we will probably find it not more than 4 to 5%, and that also in a older group between 18 and 19 or something like that. But as the research unfolded, we found that the age group which was actually being affected by it was younger and younger. Till we found that the youngest users which we had were of 8 years old, because their brother sisters were into it, or there were some other factors leading to it. And the mere fact that it was easy availability of drugs, accessibility on their own in terms of mobile phones, and number 3, very low cost of drugs. And that is primarily the reason, and the fact that the correctness, the social correctness of using and not using was not there. There was no clear definitive thing that it's a good thing or it's a bad thing, and that moral fact is not there. So some schools have come forward with us, and they've said that they will work and try to eradicate this, because the issue is not penalizing anybody. The issue is to recognize the fact that we can't close our eyes just because it's a taboo and not help these kids. We have to help them. As a nation, we have to respond.
Indeed, and very rightly said. Thank you very much for coming up with this article as well. But then at the same time, I think parents should be held responsible, because they have made it possible for all of their children to have that buying power, to purchase all of these things, to get that much amount of money. But leaving that aside, now what was the Senate's response on this report? What are they looking forward to now?
The Senate's response was formidable. They said that first of all, they will purview all the existing laws. There would be across the country strong action to be taken, both in terms of building up a law enforcement agency, in terms of the fact that we need to increase that. Number 2, to come up with a helpline, so that there should be a drug helpline which should be accessible, although there is one which exists already, but it needs to be further amplified, and there should be a public message by all media groups to do that. Number 3, that the schools have to be made responsible as well. So drug tests would be mandatory for that. And number 4, that most importantly, that there has to be a public awareness towards this issue. And number 5, the fact that we have to understand that this is a sustained policy through which your country is being targeted and your youth is being targeted. So it's not something which we can just look on the other side. The numbers will only increase. If you have 1% of children who take it, the possibility, the research indicates, is that there is going to be 3 times the increase the next following year. Because of the peer pressure, because of all these things, it has got a greater possibility of snowballing. So the Senate committee has been formidable in its response, and it has also asked every responsible party to come forward and take action. This pilot was a very small pilot, so the Senate committee has asked for a national survey also to be conducted, and a drug test also made mandatory, so that schools, parents, and different walks of people help deal with this problem in the true nature in which it exists.
Exactly. Thank you very much, ma'am, for all of these wise words. Thank you very much for raising your voice against this menace. Thank you very much once again. We'll all be there with you, standing right beside you, because we need to save our future generations. Thank you very much once again. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Mario Sultan, who's the Director General of South Asian Strategic Stability Institute. But at this moment, I've been joined by two wonderful and amazing guests over here. One of them has been on the show earlier, and then the other one has been on the show earlier as well. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so first of all, on my right-hand side, I've got Miss Sabina Zakir, who's the Director of Community Service and Outreach. Hello, ma'am. How are you? Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much for coming over once again. And alongside Ma'am Sabina Zakir, we have got Mr. Ali Bukhari, who's a psychiatrist and a director, Sadakat Clinic, Willingways. Hello, sir. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so you've heard the entire the article which was written by Dr. Maria Sultan. It was presented in front of Senate. You've heard Dr. Maria Sultan as well. What is your take on it, first of all? First of all, obviously, it is very alarming. It is a very dangerous situation, 44 to 55%. And that too in private schools. And, you know, if we talk about government schools, it's 1 to 2% only. Let's see, what's your idea about it?
Thank you very much,
No problem.
Shazad. And I'm extremely pleased to be here and representing the whole community called schools, or even parents at my age. Of course, there's a concern. We have gone through the reports, and Maria Sultan has rightly pointed out something which we need to pay attention to, and we're always there to pay attention to everything that involves our future generation, because it is our future. It has got everything to do with us.
Exactly.
So, having said that, I would certainly say that this is a national issue. And yes, we should see it as a national issue and broaden the horizon so that we understand that, yes, if there is something we need to attend to, we must do it ASAP.
Yeah,
there is
as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
So there is no two ways to it. I think the most important word in this entire conversation is denial. There should be no denial. So there's no denial, but accepting that the fact is that this younger generation that we keep talking about are these bright group of very bright, enlightened, progressive youth, and they're full of potential.
Yeah.
And when you shut down or negate or do not attend to their requirements, their well-being, their thoughts, or how they feel about stuff, they do come about certain feelings. So I think, like you very rightly said, there are backgrounds. So for the 8-year-old and for the 13 and 19, they're all very vulnerable age groups.
Exactly.
And all these age groups are 24/7 under the influence of families, if you understand our traditional background. These are not the age groups where we leave them to themselves. We are not that Western society where we would have an 18-year-old go about and do whatever they want to. We still have the influence there. So I feel that parents really need to understand, like you said, what is being provided. Like we said before in your program as well, it's their presence, their availability, their understanding that is required, and not their presence only as in gifts and time and money and given to children and not kept track of or something like that.
Exactly, very well said. And then at the same time, I think what we need to do is that we need to probably focus on what our kids are looking at. For example, when they watch television, when they listen to songs, or when they watch movies. Now, probably, for example, if your kid is going to watch Narcos all day long, all of these Netflix seasons, or probably follow Dan Bilzerian on Instagram, or these other celebrities, or Ice Cube, and watching their videos handing over some hard drugs to other cameramen or paparazzi, I think we need to think about it that all of these songs which are coming out these days, all of these movies, they are about all of these hard drugs, and then the lifestyle all of these drug dealers have. So I think there might be a bit of influence from the West on this part because of the fact that, if you'll watch such glamorous things, which can obviously be fatal, and you've heard Dr. Maria Sultan was saying that there have been fatalities as well, and then as young as 8 years old, boys are addicted to all of these hard drugs. I think we need to focus on that. Am I right or am I wrong?
Quite right. It is very shocking and alarming that within the capital we have come up with this report. It is quite right. See, before we start playing the blame game, we blame the parents, parents blame the teachers, then the society. I think first, it is said, the hands that rocks the cradle rules the world. The first place where the child gets the basic knowledge is the home. What I have found out while communicating with families and drug addicts of teenagers, there is a lot of communication gap between the children and the parents. A lot of topics have been labeled as taboos. Do not discuss at home. Do not discuss at home. I think this is high time. Parents, first of all, should realize we are not living in the past. Old methods should not be applied to this young generation. Our young generation, like ma'am also said, 8-year, 6-year kid knows how to operate the Google and internet. Before the child gets information as glamorized from the wrong channels, the right method is to sit occasionally on a cup of tea in the evenings, on the Sundays, discuss openly with your children about drug abuse, about sex abuse. Do not label these topics as taboos. It was some time back. But right now there is a lot of influx. Believe me, Shahzad, drugs are becoming cheaper, more available, and in our streets, in our schools, children do get access directly and indirectly to the drug vendors. There was a time when drug vendors used to come directly and sell off the drugs. Now they have sub-dealers in the form of, you're very right, some students, canteen, sometimes even the delivery guys who come to deliver stuff in the hostels or at the school campus, they also undercover deliver drugs. Most of the time, children do not even know what kind of drug they are exposed to. They just come under peer pressure, they intake the drug, and sometimes it is so fatal that even one time of intake of a hardcore drug, we are talking about crystal meth, crystal ice, it's openly available.
Now that is very alarming, and what I need to share over here with all those for all those parents who are out there. Now I have mentioned it earlier in the show as well, and that is that for example, when I used to go to my school or college, I think the only amount of money which I used to get was probably 10 rupees, which I was supposed to share half with my sister as well because she was studying with me. Now, what can you actually buy in 5 rupee back then? A samosa probably, or a cold drink?
That's right.
Because it was way back long. Now, for all those parents who think that giving out thousands of rupees to their kids is a cool thing just because, the background's rich and you have got everything to spend on, that's not right. What do you have to say about that? Because you see it all day long, you're representing the private schools of the community as well. What's your take on this now? Because now the parents are making it possible for the children to buy all of these hard drugs.
Again, like Dr. Saab said, no blame game. The thing is, let's just accept the fact that there is a larger canvas, and in the past, well, not when you, Shahzad, you're very young, but myself or maybe Madam Dr. Maria would be going to schools, we had issues where, people would have to stand up and they would make communities and would get out on the street and maybe have a fight and resolve their issues. These days, I feel it's all done on Facebook and then on a media or a social media. They settle down their issues there and then. They don't come out. And I think there's a lot of positivity in today's youth as well. When they address issues, I think there is a lot of gender respect and awareness in today's child, far more than what maybe we went through. They treat their gender as equal right and opportunity, and they believe in it, and they believe in those things. So there's goodness involved with all children, and I only can see hope. But the fact that we are addressing an issue, we need to understand the larger perspective, and also understand that in the 80s we saw a boom of this media issue as a target used against our good nation, and we saw a late reaction towards that, and there was an overcoming of media availability to the child, and thus I feel that if we cannot deny the fact that whatever these drugs are, they are being now supplied to ruin an entire nation. It's a national agenda.
It is a national agenda, and I don't want to play this blame game as well. But I think what I'm trying to do over here is figure out where the problem lies. So that's why, you know, I
Availability.
Availability first of all.
Availability and low cost. How can a low cost for such a high thing be available? It has to, of course, have all the law enforcement people available. How is it available? Why is it available? Where is this dhaba culture, which is right across everywhere in Islamabad?
Exactly.
I mean, we cannot overlook that dhaba culture also, which needs a lot of...
And I think we even need to, you know, what parents need to do is the parents need to really know who their son or daughter goes out with as well, personally.
That's right.
Please see them, invite them over for dinner, lunch. And, you know, that's the best solution as well, because if you'll give them all the liberty that go out, make your own decisions, they will do it whatever they feel like. And then the only reason why I asked you this question is that, you know, those souls are innocent. They're not wise people
I
right
agree.
now. They're still growing. They're learning.
I agree.
So they're more vulnerable.
That's right.
And there are more chances that they might get prone to all of those drugs which are available. Because if a friend will come and he'll be very convincing, or she'll be very convincing, oh, let's do this, because nobody wants to do it all alone.
Exactly.
Okay, so for somebody who wants to do it, they would probably look for a partner. Okay, oh yeah, go ahead, come on,
Peer
this
pressure.
does not matter.
That's
so
right.
now, how do we treat this psyche? How do we let people know that we need to come out of it, we need to build ourselves as a nation, otherwise we'll be destroyed. And then again, we'll label it as foreign agenda. Please don't do that. I think we do not need to do that.
That's
Okay.
our issue.
Yeah,
That's
we'll
not,
move on from it,
that's not a foreign issue, that's our issue.
Yes.
True.
This is the right time that on the level of
No, I
schools
said foreign agenda.
Oh, yes.
We have no foreign issue. It's our issue, obviously, but then people will label it like that.
Exactly. We need to address it. On the schools and college level, there should be proper student counseling
Okay.
regarding drugs straight away. See, we stress so much on the curriculum, on the syllabus, on the subjects. That's right, I accept it. That is why we send the children to the school to have education. Need of the hour is that we need to provide proper drug education to the children. What are the disasters a child can face using these drugs? Tell them about drugs. Instead, they learn from the wrong channels. Tell them, inform them. There should be seminars, there should be proper camps regarding drug information to the children. You tell the children, this is a drug, this is a drug,
Counseling is
and this
something
is
which is
how you can, spoil your life. This age group starting from 12, 13 till 19, it's very, very important regarding the mental growth and physical growth of a child also.
All right.
In our hospitals and in our rehabilitation centers, we are getting a lot of patients drug-induced psychosis.
What is that?
That is when a child of a young age, fresh blood, uses drugs. We are talking about cannabis especially, and crystal ice and crystal meth. This disturbs the thoughts of the child. symptoms are very slow and gradual. They creep in. It's nothing overnight. It's not like high fever on one day and you get a medicine and next day you're out of that fever. These are slow and steady symptoms that creep in into the child.
And what are those symptoms, if you would love to share them?
Sure. First of all, you will start noticing that your child will prefer to be in his or her own room rather than sharing family dinners or drawing room.
All right. Isolation.
Isolation. That is the first thing you'll find in your child.
Yeah.
Do take care of this. Involve your child at home activity. Second thing, the child will stop participating in games, physical games. They prefer to spend more time on the laptops and computers, getting more and more knowledge, communicating with their slippery friends. See, there are good children also in the schools, and there are those very few slippery friends.
Yeah.
Like it said, birds of feather flock together. So these type of children, they have communication within them, and they know how to get the drug, from whom to get the drug, how much it costs, and how to pull out the money from their daddy's pocket. They have a lot of reasons.
And any physical symptoms as well?
Exactly. They become rather, unhygienic also.
Okay.
They don't participate in physical activities, in their studies. They start waking up late in the morning.
Okay.
An early morning rising child starts getting late to the school. Keep an eye on all these symptoms.
All right.
Loss of appetite also.
Okay.
Yes, we have seen that children lose appetite while using drugs, because when cannabis or crystal ice or crystal meth goes into the body, it gives a wrong message to the mind that you're all okay. You don't need to have your meals or lunch. They stop taking a water intake also. Their skin does not glow. It becomes dull. Facial expressions are mostly dull. Non-cooperative. They don't want to talk to you about anything. They don't want you to disturb them. Anytime you call your child,
They're paranoid.
Exactly. These are clear symptoms.
Okay.
They become unsocial. They don't want to get into public gatherings. Right. What they both prefer? Selective friends. Those slippery, selective friends. Like you just mentioned, parents should be aware about the company their children keep.
Exactly.
Do visit the parents of those children also.
And earlier it was like this. Back
It used
in the
to
day,
be like
I still
that.
remember it, that, whenever
Yes.
we used to go, in fact, I wasn't allowed to go out till my A-levels as well. That was a good part on my, parents'
That's right.
Behalf. But then on the other hand, I think whenever somebody would come over or I would go to somebody else's place, my parents would actually keep a check of that.
Yes.
Okay, what's the number? What's the name? What's their parents' name? What do they do? And then they will allow me. And it was quite an exercise back then.
And nowadays the children prefer that if his or her friend comes to visit them, they go straight to their room.
Yeah.
And while leaving the home, they'll just say Khuda Hafiz and we are going.
Yeah, we're going.
This is very wrong. Second important thing, ma'am also mentioned, too much of cash handling by the children. Mobile phones. There is no use to give a child a smartphone or heavy amount just to go and spend in the canteen. When the child gets access to cash and internet and all that mobile phone facility, the child is still yet not a proper mind,
Yeah,
is
he
still
does not
growing.
know where to use it, where
wander.
to invest it. Yeah.
They don't know what they are doing. So they go for something that is more glamorous.
Exactly.
Instead of getting that thing from the wrong channel, once again I repeat, give them education on yourself, on the basics, on the home.
Sit down with them, talk to them.
That's
and,
right.
Please ask them as well that, whether you've done
Interactive.
something.
This communication should be interactive with the children.
Exactly. And initially, there is a bit of denial, but parents always know how to figure out a way and to ask their kids whether they are up to something or not. But since we are left with very short of time, so we need to ask about solutions now.
That's right.
Now, very rightly said, okay, mobile phones, they do help all those kids who are out there, who are very young, they have cell phones. They know how to communicate on WhatsApp and never get caught. And then, public awareness programs need to be there. Then the schools need to, come up with some solutions as well. So what solutions do you think of, ma'am?
Well, the foremost is counseling. you need to, the dialogue, like you just mentioned, is one of the most important defense line
Yeah.
against any issue, whether it be drug in this case or even like Sir said, the taboo issues that we never like to talk about and are there, and that cocoon a child into isolation and push them back into these slippery friends and shady areas.
Yeah.
So like counselors are there in the institutions. Look, there is a whole set and filter issues. I really strongly feel that yes, all children are affiliated with schools at some point or the other. So yes, there are schools, but also that the fact that this gap would only go away with. So we have sessions, and truly so, parents are called in, and we have experts and people like Dr. Rizwan Taj is always there to there, Dr. Sab himself. There are people who understand the softer requirement of a child. Never let your child stay in isolation. When you say talk about them, also give them the encouragement of saying if something wrong has happened, discuss.
Yeah.
That's
Discuss
right.
And then
it.
half of the time the kids are actually scared of their parents as well, that oh, I don't know what will dad say, I don't know what will mom say, probably they'll beat me and stuff like that. So parents do really need to take softer steps towards getting to know that what is wrong. But then on another hand, there's one more alarming thing, and that is that ma'am, Dr. Mari Sultan Sahiba mentioned that, Xanax is also available.
Oh, yes.
And the drug abuse is greater. And now, for all those people who've been thinking that this report is on entire Pakistan, it's not. It's just about the federal city, Islamabad. This menace is going around with these percentages over here in Islamabad, private schools and the government schools as well. So, Xanax, how can it be available to all
See,
those kids
I'm
out there?
surprised that without medical prescription, the drug stores, the chemists are providing all these medications to anyone that
Yeah.
just pays them the money without medical prescription. Believe me, I have cases in our hospitals coming for treatment, and when we ask the children, how do you get that? They say, we just simply hand over the cash and the drugstore or the chemist guy gives us the tablets, Xanax, Valium, Alp. This is openly available without any medical prescription. There should be a check on that also.
Exactly, and I think that's where I will come back to as well. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a national issue. It's not about schools, it's not about parents, it's about the availability. I think what we need to do is that we need to probably figure out all of those reasons that why is it still available when the borders are being actually looked after by the law enforcing agencies, first of all. I think first things first. Then all of those vendors, all of those chemists which are out there over here in Islamabad, we need to keep a strong check on them too, that whether if you have sold this much amount of Xanax or Valium or other medicines which you're talking about, there should always be a written receipt about it, or probably a written something, a document at least, that this much amount came in and this much amount went in, and all of the prescriptions or photocopies should be there by the vendor, that okay, we took a prescription from this doctor and then we gave them the medicine. Then on another hand, I think what we need to do is that we need to get rid of this communication gap.
That's
Which
right.
is in between children
That's
and then parents. And then I think what schools can do is that probably make this drug test a mandatory for anybody who's coming new to school.
Of course. Why wouldn't anybody not do that?
Yeah.
Why would anybody not say, step up? We are so grateful for the government to realize that it is something we need to. Well, why not?
Exactly.
Of
So when
course.
do you think that it'll be possible? Because I've never ever seen anybody saying that, I went to take admission within this school and then they said that, okay, you have to get a drug test done. Because it's not there right now. It's not within the system.
Well,
How
let's
long
see.
will it take us to, probably introduce this?
I think Madam Maria has said that they are working on how to do and what to do, and she has been involved in giving the solutions as well.
Exactly.
Let's just see if it took 9 months to come up with a report. Very soon she'll come up with.
No, but then
all
on
sorts of-
another hand, what I wanted to ask is that, is it the private schools owners' choice to make it a mandatory, or it's not?
I think anybody with any sensibility would appreciate the fact that we need to address it. So I would not say it is, why should it even be
Once you
given?
go back, you will support the idea.
No, I will support it right here.
Okay, you will support it right here. That's
Yes.
great. That's a great thing to say as well.
Yes.
And last words, anything which you want to say, anything which you want to share with our viewers and those parents who are out there.
See, Shahzad, most important thing is that stay in touch with your children on daily basis, and if you feel like your children are involved into such activities, don't stay in denial. I've seen a lot of parents coming up and they say that we belong to a very religious family and we cannot even think about our children using drugs. It's not like that. It's nothing to do with that. Please stay in close contact with your children, and on the part of the schools and colleges, I would recommend proper seminars regarding drugs. There should be knowledge given to the children by us, by the professionals, rather than they get the knowledge from the internet or some other sources.
And examples should be set as well so that they are scared of doing all of these things.
Exactly.
And
there
I
are
think
cases of overdose, and overdose is almost like fatal. There is no remedy for that, especially to the young
And there's
kids.
no, for all those people who come up with researches that, okay, this much amount is not going to hurt or this much amount is going to hurt, there's no certain fixed amount of overdose. Am I right?
You're right.
I think that's what it is, and that will actually, this was something in a nutshell as well. But for all those parents who figured out that, God forbid, I don't want to say it, but if they have figured out that, that their son or daughter is on drugs, what are they supposed to do?
See, without wasting a minute, do contact the doctor, the psychologist for remedy. Do not go for, home remedies or unprofessional things. Get a drug test done, psychological assessment done. Don't be shy about it. This is about the future of your child. Don't be shy about it. People keep it within themselves. They are afraid to come out to the psychologist or to the psychiatrist or doctors and discuss these issues about the children. They snub the children at home. Stop snubbing the children. Talk to them, be open, and it should be interactive. One more thing, we need to learn about one-minute management. The 1 minute father, 1 minute mother, these are very informative books. Go through them. Don't give long lectures to your children. Be short and interactive.
Exactly. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much, ma'am, for coming over. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. And thank you very much, Dr. Mario, first of all, for coming up with such a bold topic and then representing it as well on national television. Thank you very much once again. A great job done. But ladies and gentlemen, since we are running short of time, the only thing which I would love to say over here is that please talk to your kids and please make sure that they're in safe hands because of the fact that they need consultation on daily basis 24/7. Don't forget to write to us on our Facebook fan page, which is with the name of World This Morning. On Twitter, it's World This Morning without a G. On Daily Motion and YouTube, it's World This Morning. Once again, catch the fabulous repeat at 11 p.m. Till the next time, look after yourselves. 1, 2, 3. Good morning. Thank you very much.